Good afternoon and welcome to Market View with me, Sifiso Ngumalo. It is 2 p.m. Central African Time. It's 3 p.m. EAT, noon GMT, and 8 a.m. Eastern Time in the United States. Thank you so much for tuning in on today's agenda. We want to look at the Eswatini Sugar Association, which has reported a revenue of 7.4 billion emalangeni for the year 2023-2024. The Chief Executive Officer, Banele Nyamane, shared these impressive figures while reviewing their performance for the year ending this March. We'll listen to Nyamane and dissect his insights. We'll hopefully dissect his insights looking into, everything else that they've done as a company. In our last segment, we'll also have our mandatory financial segment where we decode the rates of the day with economist Sanele Sibia. For now, let's begin the world of business news, setting the tone for another insightful edition of Market View. In our first story, Eswatini is one of 6 countries in Africa that have shown a resilient economy in the year 2023. This has been said by the Minister for Finance, Honorable Neil Reichenberg, when speaking in his capacity as the chairperson of the Specialized Committee of the Finance, Monetary Affairs, Economic as well as Integration 7th Ordinary Session of Ministers, which is held in Tunisia on Saturday.
The Minister for Finance says more than half of African countries had a higher real gross domestic product growth rate in 2023 than 2022. 6 countries, including Burkina Faso, Djibouti, Eswatini, Libya, the Republic of Congo and South Sudan, showed a difference in growth rates of more than 2 percentage points. This, according to the minister, is a better performance than most world regions in 2023. Honorable Neil Reichenberg says to accelerate growth and cope with an unfavorable environment, most governments have increased their fiscal spending in a context of declining revenues, leading to declining financial conditions. Reduced fiscal space and lower external demand have led to increased and unsustainable debt levels. He says Africa needs to enhance microeconomic and sectoral policies coordination. The minister highlights that an assessment of past and recent implementation of economic development plans and strategies shows that economic development policies are likely to be ineffective in the absence of coordinated and complementary policies and institutions that support the overarching objective. The minister says coordination is needed to enhance the effectiveness of policies aimed at enhancing productive capacities through complementary policies on infrastructure development, technology, innovation, climate change and financing mechanisms. The minister ended his speech by stating that African countries need to undergo a process of structural transformation, which includes correct alignment of microeconomic and sectoral policies at national, regional, and continental levels, with the expected goal of achieving and sustaining high economic performance. For Market View, Nelson Dlangamandla, visuals from the Ministry of Finance.
The Cooperation for the Development of Emerging Countries is targeting youth and women in 18 communities around the country, training them on entrepreneurship with the support of the European Union. Now, the project manager, Ayanda Sikudla, says 70,000 will be provided to the women and youth that have creative as well as innovative business plans.
As the country is facing high unemployment rates, COSPA, supported by the European Union, dives into the Youth and Women Empowerment Project, ensuring that businesses are sustainable. COSPA project manager Ayanda Sikudla gives details.
Most of our participants are mostly young people in these 18 communities. We have recruited a number of young people. When we get to a community, we have groups of 45 young people per community in these predetermined communities where we come together and train them. We are aware that the fact that they're able to attend these meetings that we are having once or twice a month in a community is evidence that there's unemployment. In fact, the reason why this project was born is really out of the issue of unemployment rate in Swaziland as it is rife. So yes, we are trying by all means possible that this project is addressing that. But employment is one thing. Employment will not always be the answer for young people, and businesses is the next answer for the young people, which is why we're focusing on entrepreneurship.
According to European Union, small and medium enterprises represent 99% of all businesses in the EU. Sigudla continues saying that the businesses should show creativity and innovation.
Nehlelo lelusha lekuthi sifuna ini kwecala nje sifuna innovation asifuni tinkukhu tasemakhaya boramtutu sebendiwe ikhona imarket yakhona already seyikhona sifuna indlela yokuthi baba innovative kanjani asibuti ke lokho baba innovative they are going through training nyalo leta bakhombisa ukuthi yini indlela yokuba innovative singakende njalo sicale saba ne business mapping business mapping yini ngokuthi kube nebantu laba lamangwe lesibabuta khona imibuto ukuthi yini ma business nemathuba la khona la ebusiness lamathuba langawendiwa lamasha langathola profit sibude bosoma business emimangweni sabuta abantu labane influence emimangweni sabuta labanye abantu labasebenza organization lasebenza emimangweni labake basebenzisana nawo balabasebenza emimangweni kungaba bo micro project bo youth fund nabo basiniketa leyo ma results bekusinanga ema ideas lamasha lakhona.
Government is also encouraging entrepreneurship, of which COSPE is trying to meet those efforts. Reporting for Market View, Spiosami Gininza and Junior Adakwa.
In our international news, we head back to France to see what businesses as well as workers think of the leftist New Popular Front's economic program.
A number of hotly debated measures in France are awaiting their fate, stuck in limbo with the current political uncertainty. One is a proposal by the New Popular Front Left Alliance to raise the minimum wage by €200 a month to a total of €1,600. Some employees are cautiously supportive so long as it doesn't hike inflation, while directors are concerned it could cost their companies.
Right now, we're thinking more about stabilising staff than hiring. So if we have to increase wages, then maybe we'll be talking about redundancies.
Then there's the issue of the age of retirement. Macron's bill to reduce the age from 64 to 62 was fiercely opposed in 2023. Now it could be repealed by the left, an option backed by this union.
We've known for a year and a half that the country doesn't want this reform, that it's unfair, violent and ineffective, and that it should be abandoned.
But not all unions agree. Some feel that turning the clock back could lead to a deterioration in public finances and higher household taxes. Then there's the unemployment insurance reform, which was recently suspended by the current Prime Minister, but is opposed by the left and right parties. The bill would further reduce job seekers' rights and benefits, like for this man who just lost his job a few weeks ago.
For me, unemployment is a fundamental right. You pay into it, you work for it, so it's only right that you should be protected.
The next government, whatever it may look like, will have to decide on the future of these measures.
That is how we wrap up our first segment of the show. We are still tuned into this Tuesday edition of Market View. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll go for a net break. When we return, we'll look at a very, very interesting development coming from the Eswatini Sugar Association.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
It has just gone exactly 10 minutes after 2 p.m. You're still watching Market View, the Tuesday edition. It is the 9th of July. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's go to other developments regarding the Eswatini Sugar Association, which has recorded a 7.4 billion emalangeni revenue in the year 2023-2024. Now, the Chief Executive Officer, who is Banele Nyamane, shared this when highlighting how they performed for the year, which ended in March this year.
In the year under review, we experienced the second lowest production in terms of volume in the past 10 years. The lowest was during the drought season 2016-2017. So we ended at 590,000 tons of sugar produced. The reason of the decline is mainly attributed to the climatic changes that we are still trying to adapt to, caused by climate change. You will all recall that as a result of the decline in production, we experienced stockouts in local retailers between March and April. We are hopeful, though, that going forward, we will be able to manage the situation a little bit better. So in terms of average yields per grower, we saw growers at 11.9 tons of sucrose as compared to 13.2 tons in the previous year. 11.9 tons of sucrose equates to about 10.8 tons of the final product, which is sugar. We had great successes in terms of the marketing of the sugar. We were able to send the highest volume of about 26,000 tons to the United States of America. We remain indebted to the local USA embassy for the support in opening up that market for us. Also, in the past, we have indicated that as a sugar industry, we were making significant investments in infrastructure, intending to reduce the amount of raw sugar that we sell into the overseas market. We are now starting to reap the rewards for those investments, such that we were able to send 55,000 tons of direct consumption sugar to the EU, which is one of the highest volumes that we have sent in the recent past, and for that we appreciate the support that we get from the local EU Commission for opening up that market for us. Also, we continued to expand our niche or specialty products, which is Demerara sugar, that all goes into Europe as well, which is the darker sugar, which is preferred in that market. We also continue to produce the product at New cane, which is focusing more to those who have got the health requirements. So we are hoping that we'll continue to expand on those two products. Even though the volume significantly increased, we got the highest revenues ever in the history of the industry. We ended up at 7.4 billion emalangeni. Kulo 7.4 billion, what we then distribute to the members of the association was 6.5 billion, which is also the highest they've ever got. Of that 6.5 billion emalangeni, 4.1 billion goes to the growers of the sugar cane. So we are optimistic that our members were able to realize better returns despite the significant drop in volume. Of that revenue, what pleases us is that we brought back into the country $98 million and also 36 million euros, which is very significant contributor in terms of the reserves.
Right, this next part where the CEO speaks about other developments and what he's speaking about also justifies why we mention other time zones when we open the show. He speaks on markets in East Africa, just, speaking on the interconnectedness in business as well as the international market. Let's go, let's see it.
We have also continued to pursue the markets in East Africa. We're able to establish new destinations. Unfortunately, we're hampered by the reduced volumes, but we are optimistic that in the current season, we'll continue those efforts. And for that, we continuously appreciate the support we get from the Ministry of Commerce in terms of assisting us opening up new markets. Having painted a picture of where we ended last year, looking forward, unfortunately, we are now projecting that the surplus in the global sugar, stocks of sugar, will be about 3.5 million tons. That is starting to put pressure on the price. So the prices are starting to come down. Whilst the prices are coming down, we have also seen the lilangeni and the rand gaining strength against the dollar, which means what will eventually repatriate as proceeds will be reduced. But we are optimistic that that will be offset by the increase in production volumes. We are looking forward to a recovery of about 10% in terms of sugar to be produced in the current season. So far, the climatic conditions are looking good. We are hoping that we'll be able to maintain that throughout until we reach December when we stop producing. With that, we are also seeing an increase in demand by our customers in the overseas markets and also locally in SACU, who are now demanding that they want to buy sugar which is sustainably produced. Fortunately, the Eswatini industry is slightly ahead of the curve. We've got a significant tonnage of fair trade sugar, which the independent growers, the small growers mainly, who are participating in that are getting the advantage in terms of the extra premiums paid for that. We are also on course to gain certification for under a standard called Bonsucro by the end of the year. That will then assist us to be able to keep our markets, especially overseas, who are putting pressure on producers to produce sugar sustainably. In terms of the decline in yields, we've also put in some interventions on that, especially retraining mainly our small growers on the good practices of growing sugar cane. We have also added resources in terms of assisting the farmer associations with their disputes. I'm sure some of you might have seen a number of disputes, some ending up in court. So we've added staff in the form of sociologists to try and assist the association in resolving their problems before they start affecting production.
Yeah, a really, really promising trajectory there by our Sugar Association. Really, really big optimism as, we heard Banele Nyamane speaking frankly about the requirements there. Let's go for a net break. We decode today's financial rates with our economist, Saneless Bia Masbuet Maite.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sikhulume.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007*3*7# or you can use Eswatini imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewers' TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
It's only 9 minutes left before we hit the 30-minute mark after 2 p.m. today. Welcome back to the program. Let's decode now today's financial markets with economist Sanele Sbiya. Sanele, thank you for joining us today. Sanele, by the way, joins us virtually via a Zoom link. Let's start with the United States markets. We see movements here with the DJIA slightly down by 0.08%, Nasdaq Composite up by 0.28%, and then the S&P 500 up by 0.10%. What is driving these varying performances across the major U.S. indices?
Good afternoon to the viewer and good afternoon to Mr. Nimalo. So what we are seeing in the U.S. today, we expect to have a couple of important things happening this week. We expect to see the Federal Reserve Chair, Powell, before Congress this week in giving his testimony. And we also expect to see more on inflation data coming out this week. So tomorrow and Wednesday, during his testimony to Congress, it is expected that Powell will actually, in a way, give more signals, more stern signals to determine whether the markets should be upbeat about the rate cuts coming up in September or October. So that's what markets have already priced in, as you will see that happening. However, when we are looking at what is happening in terms of the DJIA, we can see that it has lost some 0.08%. That's mostly due to what we are seeing happening mostly with Boeing. So Boeing is actually now taking a bend and striking down that number because they are planning to plead guilty on one of those criminal conspiracy cases. However, the mood in the market is still that one that is really of beautiful upbeat sounds. We are seeing the Nasdaq and the S&P, they've actually hit new records, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is just shy of that 40,000 mark. So overall, it's still an upbeat picture, signaling that the markets are really anticipating an interest rate cut to come later in September or sometime in the year, 2 interest rate cuts. So what Powell will be telling us tomorrow, will be telling Congress tomorrow, the markets will also use that to infer while we're waiting for Thursday's economic data to come up with something.
Yeah, that Boeing story is sad and yet very fascinating at the same time. One ought to really want to, draw interest and follow it, but perhaps on another time when we have enough time to catch up. Let's shift our focus to the European markets. The FTSE 100 marginally up by 0.2%, while the DAX and the CAC 40 are down by 0.20% and 0.57% respectively. What are the key factors influencing the decline in the DAX and CAC 40, and how do these compare to the stability seen in the FTSE 100?
So what we are looking at across Europe is we know that France, one of the, I think it's the second largest economy within the European Union, is somewhat at a crossroads. Yes, they've avoided an entirely left-wing government, but right now they are going to have a hung parliament. So markets are now factoring that in to see how that is going to look out and what it will mean overall for the overall European market. So that is the instability that is going into what we are seeing in Europe today. And also the markets in Europe are still awaiting for that data to come out in the US, and also awaiting the testimony that Powell will be giving to Congress tomorrow. And then when you go up to London, what we are seeing there in London is the fact that, we are expecting the Labour Party to take our government. We are seeing that shift where the Labour Party was in opposition to yesterday, and then now they are going to be on the side of government, and we are going to see Rishi Sunak as now as the leader of the opposition. So there's a bit of that stability, and the markets are a bit waiting to see if they're really going to propose the policies that are going to turn the UK economy around, because what the UK economy needs is growth and employment. So those are things that have been quite touchy issues, also issues around taxes and issues around improving investment. So markets are taking that with a bit of some conservativeness to see what today is going to look like and how the markets are going to look and what policy stance we are going to have going forward.
In the sense that politics are really taking center stage in Europe. But let's turn to Asia. I know, we might not have really the graphics to accommodate our conversation right now, but maybe we'll pass just right through it. Nikkei surged by 1.96%. Shanghai Composite Index up by 1.26% as well. The Hang Seng Index remains flat though. What is fueling, just very briefly, we don't have the graphic here, what is fueling the strong performance in the Nikkei and Shanghai Composite, and why is the Hang Seng Index lagging behind?
So when we are looking into Asia, what we are noticing is Japan is a bit more expectant of what is going to happen in the US. And I mean, with the weaker yen within Japan, that somehow makes Japanese stocks relatively cheaper. So that's why we are going to see the Nikkei edging up. And while at the same time, the Bank of Japan has also come up to state that they are looking into how they're going to prop up the yen. So there is that overall optimism in that market, both domestically and also expecting the US to come up better. And then when you're moving into the Hang Seng, you can see that it has lost a bit of ground today, purely because there is that, that entire tariffs issue coming out from the US, and we are waiting to see what will happen. How will China react to that? We've already seen, Teslas and other EV manufacturers coming up to really fill up the gap. So that's why we are seeing those trade-offs there. But we're also aware of the fact that, that Hong Kong, where Hang Seng is usually calculated, is a region of mainland China. So there are always those geopolitics that have to come into play. So now the whole world is waiting to see how China is going to react to that entire tariff story and what the mood will be in mainland China. But we are seeing some marginal gains today, purely because there is those moves to prop up that sector, and we saw China coming out yesterday to really call for a peaceful resolution of the Russia conflict. So that in a way, we had not seen that happen in a very long time, where President Xi just comes out to confront President Putin. So that actually shows a new sense of direction in terms of where policy is going to go in the near future within mainland China, which is the reforms that are needed within mainland China.
I laud the fact that I'm going to brush through, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange in South Africa, which has seen a slight decline, by the way, of 0.02%. I would have loved to learn your analysis of the factors contributing to this performance and how it might affect investor sentiment in the region. But I am sort of compelled to move straight to commodities and then currencies, if you will. With your allowance, move on to commodities. Gold has risen by 0.27%, while Brent crude has decreased by 0.38%. What are the underlying reasons behind these shifts?
All right, thank you. So with gold, we know that gold was affected adversely by, profit taking within Wall Street in the past couple of days. But right now, what the markets are pricing in is that rate hike. So what we are seeing today, shifting the price of gold up a bit, is purely because the markets are expectant of a rate cut. But just to hedge a bit, just to try and make money while you still can, the precious metals become the go-to type of investment. And then in terms of your Brent crude, what we are seeing there happening is we've averted fears of, Hurricane Beryl having adverse effects on oil supply in the US, and also what is happening within Gaza and Israel, those peace talks, they've resulted in that slight decline in the price of Brent crude. And then coming to the currencies, we have seen that the Lilangeni has actually remained quite relatively strong, although losing marginal grounds today against both the euro and the dollar, purely because of those shifts that we are waiting. So markets are still waiting to see what will happen in terms of the news in the US, in terms of the interest rates. So that is the conservative nature that is battling in the markets, and it still remains very strong across compared to the Japanese yen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for providing those insights. So you're thanking me, but really we are thanking you, and we are thanking the viewers as well for staying with us on the program today. This has been the Tuesday edition of Market View, and we have come to the end of it. I hate to say it, but have a good evening. Goodbye.